25. It's Cofield and Company's Eye on Sports Gambling, presented by Oasis Bar and Grill. Only on ESPN Las Vegas and ESPN Reno.
I might have to watch this later. CFP stand-up after the rankings come out. What do they got? Joey Galloway, Greg McElroy, Reese Davis, and someone else doing their best impression of Steve Kornacki. Or hey, Sammy, who's the dork on Fox who was doing this during the election?
Steve Kornacki.
No, on Fox.
On Fox? I don't know. I didn't watch Fox.
It wasn't Brett Baer because he was the lead.
I think John King does it.
Was
on
it John
CNN,
King?
and he's on CNN. He's terrible.
They struggled, huh?
Just awful.
I don't know if this is going to be the most engaging TV.
Kornacki is the one. He's
So we got the rankings up. I want to get to the rankings here and say, you know what? Screw it. Let's come out with this. How do we find a national championship bet? Tell me what you like, because I have a favorite that I like, and then I have a bunch of long shots.
So I'd bet Georgia at 5-1 right now. That would be if you gave me $100 and said make a bet, I would take them. Carson Beck looked really good against an above-average Tennessee defense. Georgia's had two really nice losses too. I love that. Two really nice losses as opposed to two bad losses. But they've been through the ringer. They know how to win these games. Their coach is unbelievable. I don't knock Georgia for losing to Alabama and Ole Miss. If you're looking for a long shot, man, I don't know. I don't know that there is one. I think this year with the 12 teams, it'll be one of those four that wins it. Ohio State, Oregon, Texas, Georgia. I don't think we have a long shot.
So I'm going to go Texas as the favorite at 5-1. And for long shots, because they play each other, and if this school gets the win, then they're in, and suddenly they prove something real significant. Texas A&M is 100-1. I would fire on that. I would fire on, I think Tennessee's in a real weird position now at 45-1. And tell me I'm crazy on this one. Do we believe Indiana is really good? Because if you believe they're really good, then you better grab 25-1 now before the Ohio State game.
It's hard to envision Indiana winning the Big Ten. Say they upset Ohio State, I don't think they'd beat Oregon. So then they have to go through the ringer and win all those games. I think you really need that time to rest, recover, prepare. But hell, man, you're looking for a price. 30-1 is the best I can see. You might get a bigger number in Vegas. Maybe somebody's giving you 35 or 40. But in terms of what I can bet out here in Massachusetts right now, 30-1 is the height of the market. I think they're going to get rolled this weekend, though. So maybe my bread's already buttered.
Me too. Well, if you're going to make these bets, like how much do you have to go through, as you're saying, and figure out not only what potential matchups could be, but also, well, could this team make the conference championship game? And then what does that do? Because a lot of people around the country just assume, oh, UNLV is playing Boise State in the conference championship. UNLV might not make it because Colorado State doesn't have to play them in a weird scheduling thing. So there's so many layers to figure out if you're going to try to make a bet on a future.
100%. And also with Indiana, I would assure you, if you took Indiana's money line against Ohio State, I don't have it in front of me. Let me pull it up real quick. But if you took that money line, say you bet 200 on Indiana to beat Ohio State, and then you rolled that over and bet that on the money line to beat Oregon, and then continued to roll it over, I almost promise you'd get a better shake than 30-1. Because Ohio State's almost a 14-point favorite now in the game against Indiana. So let's take that $200. Yeah, you can get 4-1 at the Superbook. So 200 times 4 is 8-1. Then you put 800 on them on the money line against Oregon, which is probably even higher, 455-1. Now you got 4,000, and then you just keep rolling it over. It's probably going to be much higher now that I do just the first two games on the fly. It's tough, man. It's tough to imagine them beating those two teams and then beating two SEC teams. I'm sorry. I don't see it. Not to burst your bubble, Steve. I'm just not there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're long shots. That doesn't mean you should just piss away your money. Another team that is a long shot, but they are going to have to absolutely go through the ringer. What's the best number you see up for Notre Dame because I'm on DCAD State and I see 18-1. I was hoping for something bigger than that, considering they can't be a top 4 seed.
25.
Okay. But you're real nervous about having to, as you put it, go through the ringer or the wash. That just makes it real tough. Should there be any consideration of Boise State? I don't think they're going to stay a top 4 seed. I think they can win out. I think they could actually match up against UNLV in the Mountain West Conference title game. Right now, that wouldn't be the matchup, but I think they can match up against UNLV, blow them out, and I still think the CFP will find a way to make sure a Big 12 team of some sort gets a bye and gets that 4 seed.
I don't take anything positive out of that game that they just played against San Jose State. Okay. They were up 7 with 3 minutes to go. I'm sorry. And I don't know if you guys saw Bad Beats on Monday with Van Pelt, Stanford Steve. Yeah. Incredible. That 3-minute part of that segment was outstanding because, the dog is 14.5 in the game. You get the pick 6 down 14 to make it 21. And then San Jose State gets stopped 1st and goal 3 times. Unbelievable. But no, Boise State is 150-1 to win the whole thing. So, yeah. Look, I said it off the top. I don't think this is the year for sleepers. I really do believe there are 4 really, really, really good teams, and then there's everybody else. And in football, it's hard to beat really, really, really good teams multiple weeks in a row. I don't think it's fair for the long shots.
Heisman odds, Travis Hunter at one point, even as of a month ago, was 15-1. You get him a lot higher than that before the season, early part of the season. He's now minus 400. I understand why. A lot of it's because Colorado is winning. It is fascinating, though, that on defense, I guess you just chalk it up as no one goes near him. They don't even run the ball near him. He actually only has 23 tackles on the season as a cornerback.
It's a little lazy. They did throw at him last week 4 times. It was 3 receptions, 1 for a touchdown. So I don't think he's this elite cornerback. But I think here's my thought process on Travis Hunter. If he was a full-time receiver or a full-time corner, he'd be arguably the best corner and the best receiver. But because he's playing 120 and 130 snaps, he's a little watered down on both ends of the court. I'm watching basketball. I have an under, and there's been 15 made threes already in the first half. So I'm a little all over the place here. He's a really good corner if you only played corner. He's a really good receiver if you only played receiver, but he plays both at a very high level on a team that probably goes 10-2 and wins the Big 12, or at least has a chance to win the Big 12 in the title game. The dismissal of Genty to me is really silly. I saw a clip the other day. Well, a guy like this comes around every 2 years. No, he doesn't. That's not true. He also is going to have 30 touchdowns and 2,500 yards. A player like that literally does not come around every 2-3 years. So I think we're dismissing him a little too quickly. And the other unfair narrative is, well, he's not Barry Sanders. No kidding. Nobody is.
Yeah, if those are the standards, that's completely insane. Before we get to a little bit of NFL, I did want to ask you, I feel like the narrative down the stretch was Major League Baseball NL Rookie of the Year, that Skeens was kind of running out of gas and that Jackson Merrill had passed him. Didn't the odds reflect that, or am I way off here because Skeens wound up winning?
Well, Skeens was about 2-1, 225 in the final couple of weeks. But then when we got towards the end of the regular season, it was basically right there for both of them. I mean, nobody had a decided edge. I want to say Skeens was $1.30 or $1.40. I don't remember because they take these odds off the board once the playoffs start. Look, Skeens started the All-Star game. Skeens took the league by storm. 11-3 record, ERA under 2, 170 strikeouts in 133 innings. Usually you don't see a pitcher win this award, but the way that he clicked and trafficked and people talked about and watched, and every time he pitched, it was appointment television. And he delivered in 75% of those starts. His celebrity certainly helps, of course, but I feel like him being the All-Star game starter and never really not living up to the hype helped carry him through for a team and a fan base that just hasn't been exciting in, 10 years. It just felt like it was more narrative-driven on Skeens, and once he started the All-Star game, you had to feel like he had a really good shot to bring home the hardware.
kind of answered where I was going, but I think this is something we do have to take into consideration. And anytime we can bet on things where there's voting, celebrity matters, social media matters. If he's not dating Livy Dunn, it's not as easy of a path.
I agree with that. I don't think that's a hot take at all.
Okay,
I do.
I thought you'd shoot that down.
Well, I mean, because you like more people are aware of who he is and what he does because of everything around him. And I agree with that. Did you really just foul there with 2 seconds on the clock in the first half? It's just
is this the Villanova Penn game?
No, it's Wake Forest, Western Carolina. I bet under 147. It closed 142. They hit 16 threes in the first half, and Wake just fouled up 8 with 2 seconds for no reason.
Yeah. So 14 threes in that Villanova game, so I thought you were going.
Yeah. It's unbelievable. Like, these teams don't make these many threes in full games. Speaking of celebrity, though, Steve and Adam,
yes.
Travis Hunter 2 weeks ago was on the set of College Game Day and Big Noon Kickoff. So, yeah, I think that certainly helped. And Colorado helps, and Dion helps. All that helps. That's why I think Hunter's going to win.
Girlfriend, big TikToker too.
I did not know that.
Yeah, she's not like a famous like Livy Dunn, but she's got a big following.
Travis Hunter?
Yeah, he stars in a lot of them too.
I got to check that out.
Yeah.
A couple NFL points before we get you out here, just all over the place. Why is the Thursday night football total plummeting?
You have wind gusts up to 40 miles an hour on Thursday night in Cleveland. That's why. Total open 42. There was a 42.5 in the market. Long gone. I saw the highest gusts of wind at 40 and recurring winds 20 to 28 miles an hour, 40 degrees, the low. 90% chance of precipitation. So not a great place for offense. Not to mention you have Cleveland's D and Pittsburgh's D. That's going to be 14-10, 17-13. I don't see it sneaking over the total.
What do you have the Chiefs at? Because I know you bet them for Super Bowl World Championship every year. What do you have the number at?
6-1 right now.
Okay. Right now, it's a little inside that, but they're not the favorite. It's all bought in now. The Lions are the favorite, right, to win the Super Bowl?
Yeah, which is ridiculous. And I'll tell you, if you're looking for a bet right now, if you did take that Chiefs bet before the season, Philadelphia Eagles, you can find multiple places at 9-1. I think that's the best team in the NFC. I do. They're tested. They're deep. Their defense is better. I like them more. Detroit's been an awesome story, but you guys know me. I ain't betting Detroit at 3-1, 3.25. That ain't happening.
Do you have, aside from the Eagles, do you have a longer shot that you're kind of keeping an eye on to jump on them before the odds
the only other shot was Packers. I got Packers at 30. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't usually bet longer shots before the season. I do have the Cardinals to make the playoffs at about 6-1. I hope that can stay hot. But no, I'm Chiefs Eagles. If they meet in the Super Bowl again, I will be very, very happy, and I will spend a lot of money at Oasis.
You can watch him, listen to him pretty much every day. If you miss him live, there's videos all over the place. BetQL, BetQL, BetQL. It's Sam Penny out of it. Sam, good luck in this total tonight. I know it doesn't look good right now, but you never know. We'll see you, buddy.
Going to be a sweat. Thanks, man.
It's going to be a sweat. I feel like when you bet basketball totals, you don't watch the game. Watch the end, maybe to get worked up, but don't watch the game. Get out. Stadium Swim Circle Las Vegas is your spot for the live Thursday Cofield and Companies each week. And don't forget, Hoopsgiving is on the way. November 25th to December 1st. Live games, special room deals, and Drinksgiving. Let's celebrate sports to begin the holiday season at Stadium Swim Circle Las Vegas.
No more compromises. It's time to experience the luxury, safety, and performance of a Volvo from Finley Volvo Cars Las Vegas. From sleek sedans that glide through city streets to rugged SUVs conquering any terrain, Volvo offers a perfect blend of luxury and safety. Right now, sign and drive with the Volvo XC90 with 0 down, 0 due at signing, and 0 first payment. Visit the new Finley Volvo showroom on Rainbow and the 215 and experience the future of driving Finley Volvo cars for life's journey. See store for details. Restrictions apply.
Life moves quick. There just isn't enough time to get it all done between drop-off,
bye, Mommy,
drop-ins,
hey, got a sec?
and of course,
drop and give me 20.
And when there is time, there isn't money. But at One Nevada Credit Union, we can help you with both. That's why our One Checking account gets you your paycheck up to 2 days early when you set up for direct deposit. Early paydays start here. Sign up for your own One Nevada One Checking account at onenevada.org. Federally insured by NCUA.
Our one focus is you.
Sleep is essential to a long and productive life, but if snoring is keeping you and your significant other up at night, do something about it. And without a CPAP machine, well, the staff at Sound Sleep Medical know there's a better way to get high-quality sleep. Call Sound Sleep Medical now for a free consultation, a $250 savings. Call 702-367-3620. That's 367-3620. Save a ton and get the sleep that you deserve. Call Sound Sleep Medical. Locations in Henderson and on West Sahara in Las Vegas. Call now.
Put a bow on your NFL weekend as the Eagles are in California to play the LA Rams. Sunday at 4:30 on ESPN Radio 1100 AM and 100.9 FM. Injured in a crash? Call Sam and Ash at 702-303-0333.
The Rebel football team hits the road to take on the San Jose Spartans Friday with pregame at 6 on ESPN Las Vegas, 1100 AM and 100.9 FM, KWWN Las Vegas. Live from Oasis Bar and Grill, it's Cofield and Company on ESPN Las Vegas.
Let's give away some more. Win them before you can buy them. Tickets for 2025 in May. Massive show, Allegiant Stadium, Post Malone with Jelly Roll, the Big Ass Stadium Tour. Is that really the name?
Yep.
By the way, we had a long discussion yesterday. Probably just finish this. So we
About?
can send off a good air check. I'll tell you in a second. 364-1100, caller 7. Pair of tickets. Post Malone, Jelly Roll, Allegiant Stadium. Tickets go on sale tomorrow at noon. Ticketmaster.com, Ticketmaster.com, Ticketmaster.com. No, just remind me of the conversation we had very briefly at the end of the show yesterday when I said big ass. We were talking about one of the highlights of the Jake Paul, Mike Tyson show, which absolutely was not a mistake, showing Tyson's arse. And then I asked Griffin if he were to take a guess amongst host on Cofield and Company who had the best cheeks right now. Would it be me, Willie, or Salerno? Which we know if you ask Salerno.
How was this discussion?
Salerno would be like, I'm great ass. I have a great ass. Trust me, it's great. Like, Greg, you're out of shape. That's great. Because his latest claim, at first it was he could throw a great first pitch. It was a disaster at the Aviators. He's long claimed he could beat a WNBA player in one-on-one.
Yeah.
Like, he has no shot.
No.
And then the latest one was that he could kick a field goal from 30, if not 40 yards. I'm like, you can't.
No. Definitely not.
Because I was talking about leg flexibility. I was talking about the modern day kickers in the NFL are ridiculous. The freaking Aubrey hit a 64-yarder last night. They took it off the board after a penalty.
Count.
But it's like, bro, you can't. You can't.
No.
But I can squat. I can squat a lot. Who cares?
That'd be an
What
easy
you
one.
squat?
That's an easy one to test, though.
It is an easy one to test. But on Cofield and Company, is any physical feat easy to test?
Yeah, that's an easy one.
No. We have to have two people at a site at the same time and someone with a camera. It's an impossibility. It's been proven over the years.
Well,
We can barely get the show on the air. We're gonna do a stunt
Yeah.
where someone's kicking off a tee.
Oh, it's off a tee? That's different.
I can't remember if he was claiming he could do the tee or he didn't need the tee. He needed a tee, didn't he, Griffin? Needed a tee.
That's different.
Yeah.
I don't think he even said if he needed a tee. I think the man said he could do it bare, just straight there. Somebody holding it Charlie Brown style.
Yeah, you're right. He went even further. Speaking of bare, he said barefooted. He could do like who was the old? No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Who was the old? Can you name a barefooted kicker? I think I have one.
Tony Zendejas?
I think it was Tony Franklin.
Okay.
But it might be Tony Zendejas. I don't know.
So.
Why
I think there was several.
by the way, why did anyone do that?
Because
I don't
was
know,
there not
it's a
science?
better feel?
Was there not science back then? Science. Come on.
Tony Zendejas barefoot is a Google search?
Is it real or
Oh,
a flop?
I can't.
Tony Franklin.
We'll see. I don't know. Stuff.
So CFP news in UNLV is at 24. So that's cool. I mean, I think that is a convenient part of the work. They deserve it. Rebels deserve it. But Boise right now is sitting in the 4-hole. They actually did it. They did not. I thought they would push as much as they could to make sure a Big 12 team was ranked ahead of Boise. And the highest ranked team is BYU at 14, which I dropped BYU. I haven't pumped up the Cofield playoff rankings like I used to. I do them every Monday. I didn't even get them on the air yesterday. A lot of fight stuff. Do I have them in front of me? I know I do.
Well, BYU has to be in there because they're the top team in the Big 12.
Well, but who says who?
They are.
I don't believe that.
Wait, what?
I have Colorado ranked out of them.
Cofield rankings suck.
What are you talking about?
I don't think BYU is good either.
I actually have BYU outside of the top 20. I don't have them ranked.
Okay. I mean, they have to be in the.
How come my rankings can't suck? It's a subjective ranking, and I don't even think you have this far in the season. I don't think you have to do like they beat them, this team beat them. Like I don't care. Where are they right now? BYU, and I can factor this in. Shouldn't have beaten Utah.
Yeah.
And lost to a Kansas team. By the way, if losing to a Kansas team only drops you to 14, then UNLV should be like 13th. Beat them on the road.
Sure. Syracuse lost though. It's going to haunt them for a long time.
Referees. I mean, I can do factors in every. We can do this all the time, and to me, that's what the CFP folks do anyway.
I see Zendejas wearing a shoe.
Right? Did you do Tony Franklin barefoot?
I would do how many kickers kick barefoot?
How many? I just came up with one.
Which kickers? Like there was a lot though.
You're not good at searching, I can tell. Myles Simmons is in. Sorry, Myles. We got sidetracked on feet. We got sidetracked. I don't know. Did you hear the part where we were? This is another thing we're not going to do, but we were trying to judge off of the way Tyson's rear end looked at 58. If someone on the show, not the females, it's only the males, but if there's a male on the show who actually has a derriere that looks pretty decent above the rest.
Nobody was having this.
And then I actually offered.
He was having this conversation with himself.
I kind of was because I wanted Griffin to judge, but just kind of, without seeing it, he shook his head virulently last night. And then I actually offered Willie, I have a tush photo from 15 years ago. I think I'm drooping incredibly now. It's just the whole thing's falling apart. I was a mountain of muscle back then. So anyway, was that not? By the way, did you watch the fight? Did you watch Tyson and Paul?
What I could watch because Netflix wasn't very cooperative with that whole thing. And I mean, I said this, and Florio wrote about it at Pro Football Talk, and he's written some more stuff about it. Yeah, but the thing that is concerning if you are an NFL fan or if you are the NFL is the stream quality, right? I mean, you had something where they alleged 60 million people were tuned in, right? So
108 million worldwide.
Oh, excuse me. Is they up that number? Oh, wow. Okay.
Worldwide.
Wow. Interesting. So if that's the case, and this is just this fight, what should we expect for the NFL games that are coming up on Christmas Day? Because those are, again, going to be worldwide events. If your server can't handle that fight, I mean, and I mean no disrespect to Tyson or Paul, but that's not the NFL, right? So they better shore up their servers. That's all I got to say about that. Because I mean, that was embarrassing for them.
Do you or Florio actually know what you're talking about? And so what's the, because I'm always curious. We need an IT guy to come in. It's certainly not going to be from any of the companies we work for because they're always men and women of mystery. There's a shot there. Do we know why things buffer? Did you guys do a story on this? Can Florio get on this? Why does it actually buffer? It can't. Is it simply the servers?
I mean, I'm not smart enough to know, exactly what that means. Yeah,
I want answers.
You did. But no, I assume it has to do with the way traffic flows in and out, and where all of the streams or computers or televisions, whatever, they have to go into a certain port in some way and then receive the traffic back. So if everything is coming in at once, we're trying to go out to this, I assume it's sort of like traffic, right? You have to have flow, a way that the information flows back and forth. And if you get too much coming in at one time and there aren't enough lanes for the traffic, then that, I assume, is why things get messed up like that. But that is, I am well out of my depth when I start talking about those kinds of things. So I probably shouldn't have said any of that.
What are you talking
Tell
about?
me, hit me up on Twitter. Was it? I don't know. I mean, hit me up on Twitter at Myles A. Simmons if you actually know the answer to that, please. I would also like to know.
Was that Ivy League education talking? I don't know what I'm talking about. Since there is a crossover audience of me, you, and like 8 other people, which stream was worse, this one or the Love Is Blind finale?
So I didn't watch the Love Is Blind finale live, but I have heard that the Love Is Blind reunion or whatever you want to call it, like that, I think was worse because they really didn't. Yeah, they had to stop it. I mean, the fight, like the show had to go on in some form or fashion, right? So they figured their stuff out. And by the time, it got to within a couple rounds, right? Like the things were okay at that point. So I mean, you could at least see it. But yeah, the Love Is Blind reunion show, that was even worse of a disaster. So they're making incremental progress at least.
How many contestants on Love Is Blind could have beat Tyson?
Oh, which season?
That's a fair point.
Because
that's true.
Are we talking about US, UK? I haven't seen any of the other ones, but it's like Garrett probably could have taken Tyson, in the latest one. The kicker guy, Nick, I don't know if he could have, unfortunately. But Hannah did turn him into a man, according to her. So
kicker is a little. I mean, he kind of kicked. Also, he wore a shoe. Does it even count?
I don't know.
We're all about barefoot kickers on the show. Rich Carlos was one, by the way.
Oh, there
I
we
found
go.
that.
Nice.
Yeah, the Raiders stink, Myles. It's tough to watch them.
I bet. I didn't really see much of that game on Sunday. I won't lie to you. I saw a couple highlights. I saw Johnny Smith running over people.
Also,
I saw
Johnny
Brock
Smith
Bowers
uncovered.
done great things. Yeah,
Johnny Smith uncovered on a play late in the game. That went well. I guess are they in the mix to get the 1 seed?
You mean number one for the draft?
Yes, for the draft.
Most would call
that's what we're talking about.
That's his beat now. So he actually does
seed.
have it flipped around. He's like, I don't cover the playoffs.
1 seed.
1 seed. It depends, man. I mean, what's not going to help them is that the Browns are also in that competition and they beat the Browns. So, that's one aspect of it. I don't know. Do the Raiders play the Titans at some point this year? I'm not
Jags.
familiar with the schedule.
Got a Jags game.
Okay. Got the Jags. All right. So that's another one. Maybe, is that at Allegiant or is that in Jacksonville? Because, the last time the Jags played the Raiders on the road or at the Raiders home game, that was the last thing that we ever saw in the Oakland Coliseum. And some folks were not very happy in the end zones there. So that was interesting. I mean, it's certainly realistic that the Raiders could get the number 1 overall pick, right? Like that's not something that's out of the realm of possibility. You can't really play offense and your defense has become more and more inconsistent because the team it's not just leaning on the defense, right? Like everything is on the defense because the offense can't really do anything. Then this is the result that you're going to get. I mean, it's very similar to the Browns, right? Because the Browns can't really do much offensively. And then when they do, in this game that they played against the Saints last week on Sunday, like they let Taysom Hill do things that basically should never be done, where he's, running for over 130 yards. He's got kick return yards. So like he's thrown for 18 yards and he's caught like 8 passes. Like these are just bad teams right now. And there are a lot of bad teams in the NFL this year, more than usual. I kind of feel like, especially in this era of parity. So is it possible for the Raiders to get the number 1 overall pick? Yes. Probable? I don't know, just because there are so many bad teams.
It's the 1 seed, Myles. We're calling it the 1 seed.
Okay. Yeah. At PFT, we're still going by, we're not going with Adam Hill style yet.
That's fair.
All right.
Jerry Jones says Mike McCarthy has not lost the team. He said he doesn't believe in coaches losing teams. He doesn't think that's a real thing. How has he not lost the team? Also, he's a lame duck anyway. Nobody can be listening to him anymore.
Well, this is part of why the Cowboys are bad, because they didn't do anything to solidify the status of enough folks on that team prior to, let's call it like late August, right? If you look at what they did with CeeDee Lamb, messing around with that, Dak Prescott was going to be a really huge issue this year until they signed him to that extension right at the beginning of the regular season. But when you still have a coach that is going into the last year of the contract with no extension, it puts everybody a little bit on edge, because you don't know what's going to happen in the future. And I think that, the Cowboys beat the Browns in week 1 and it was nice. And then they had it, but then ever since then, it's kind of been like, I mean, like, are they any good? And then Dak Prescott gets hurt. And even before that, it was kind of like, all right, the wheels have fallen off here. But when you don't do anything in the offseason and then you come into the season and everybody knows how bad your last season ended, this is the kind of result you're going to get. And, whether or not Mike McCarthy has quote unquote lost the team, I mean, I don't know, but it doesn't matter. They're not a good team. They're not going anywhere. Weirdly, Jerry Jones doesn't want to play Trey Lance, even though they gave up a 4th-round pick for him. And my coworker, Shireen Williams, was at the game last night asking Jerry basically like 4 different ways, like, you really don't want to play Trey Lance? Like, you gave up a 4 for him. Are you sure you don't want to play? And Jerry's basically like, no, we want to give ourselves the, quote, best chance to win. And apparently they think that's Cooper Rush. So, I mean, it's a mess with the Cowboys. And one thing you cannot do is fire the owner. So it's probably going to continue to be a mess with the Cowboys just based on the way things have been. And we'll see what kind of coach they hire. But, like, it's probably a little bit hard to feel very positive if you are a Dallas Cowboys fan right now.
A lot of the folks on ESPN are loving the story of Dion and Shedeur. Let's start with Dion because Michael Irvin, speaking of ESPN, I'll mention Fox as well. Michael Irvin was on with Cowherd and said he's got a good source that says Dion will take the Cowboys job. I'm assuming he sources Dion. Not to make it obvious, try to be subtle there. Louis Riddick said, don't underestimate Dion's ability to lead. Your reaction to that, and I know Adam also wants to comment on what's actually happened here at Colorado with Dion, where a lot of people have gotten quiet and maybe they shouldn't. But first on Dion's ability to lead in the NFL.
Well, I don't know that there's much of a question that people would follow him, right? I mean, you're talking about a Hall of Famer who now has proven that he can be an effective head coach at 2 stops at the college level. And when you have the kind of cachet that Deion Sanders has, I mean, that has not gone away despite the fact that it's been, decades since he played in the NFL. That he's still a large amount of respect that I'm sure that players today would have for him. Would he coach in the NFL? But I think in the NFL, it's less about recruiting, obviously, right? You don't recruit, you draft, you scout, you go out, you get free agents, and more about can the schemes really, truly be effective? Can you hire a staff that is going to give you A1 game plans and get the most out of everybody that is on the roster? And, I mean, I don't think it's unfair to question whether or not Deion Sanders is going to be able to effectively assemble that kind of staff at the professional level. Now, I mean, like, do I think that it can't happen? No, but I think that there's just that difference in the level between like college and the NFL. Now, right now, he's got Pat Shurmur as his offensive coordinator, for instance, at Colorado. Or, like, you need a better coordinator than that in the NFL. Like, Pat Shurmur's done it, and he's not very good at it at the NFL level. But you go to Colorado and you're in the Big 12, and like it looks different that way. And yes, the quarterback has something to do with it. And maybe I'm just biased from watching Pat Shurmur as a Browns fan. But like that to me is not the kind of caliber of staff that you need in order to excel at the NFL level. But Adam, I'm curious. What do you mean by people that are quiet now that shouldn't be?
I don't know.
Oh, I don't think a lot of people who were criticizing Colorado and the kind of coach Dion is, now they've all kind of backed down, which I don't think you need to back down. Adams brought up the fact that, yeah, it's going well at Colorado. The schedule quality has not been great, though.
Oh, well.
The Big 12 stinks. After looking at,
I don't think it stinks. I think it's balanced, and they've Colorado's had a schedule here where they haven't had to meet the teams that are very good because it's been a weird year.
Just got through saying you don't think BYU is good. They're the best team in the Big 12.
I don't think BYU is the best team in the Big 12.
You think Colorado's the best team in the Big 12?
No.
I have Colorado highly ranked, but I'm also playing the game of the CFP. So this becomes a very convoluted conversation. On the point of Dion, let's not seal that Dion's a great coach based on this season, Adam.
No, I would agree. I pointed out earlier, I have to look if there was any shifting in the schedule. Going into last week, Myles, the Colorado Buffaloes were playing exactly one of the top 7 teams in the Big 12 this year, and they went 0-1. And 8 of their 9 conference games are against the bottom of the league, and that's where all their wins are.
And they're playing Kansas this week at Arrowhead. I know that because I got some buddies down there at KU and in Kansas City. So, I mean, KU was supposed to be one of the good teams this year in that conference, and then they, went and lose all over themselves early on in the season. The only team they could beat was freaking Lindenwood, and that's terrible. So, but I mean, you beat BYU. That's a pretty quality win, from that standpoint. And it was more the way that Kansas was supposed to look throughout the course of the entire season. So if Kansas plays well and, if KU ends up beating Colorado, then a lot of this discussion about Deion Sanders, I think, is going to change over the course of the next week, right? I mean, that seems logical to me.
We were talking about the Cowboys. I just want to finish up on that. The thing that a lot of people aren't paying attention to, but should, is the Cowboys are going to be in prime time a lot coming up. They're playing on Thanksgiving, of course.
Yeah.
Tommy DeVito against Cooper Rush, Thanksgiving. That's what everybody wants.
Feel the excitement, baby.
With their turkey. But they also are going to be on Monday Night Football against the Bengals coming up. And everybody's like, well, good. They can flex it. They can't because of The Simpsons.
Yeah. Yeah, that's, I mean, at least from that standpoint, the Bengals are an interesting team, right? They're still going to be playing. I can see them being in that